What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today we are finally getting our hands on the B3 Exact Linx bow sight, which was released here in 2025. Now, if you guys remember, they did drop a sight very similar to this. You guys could probably pick that up for a little bit of a cost savings depending on what you're looking to spend. I'll put a link in the description below where you guys can check that video out and kind of do a side-by-side comparison to see what is new with the 2025 versus the older sight that they came out with last year. But we're going to dive into this video. We'll talk about specs, features, and then we'll also talk about what is new, just so you guys have a very clear understanding of what you can expect if you are looking at picking this up. Now, I know a lot of you have reached out and requested that I do a review video on this bow sight. It's received a lot of buzz since they dropped it at the ATA show, and I can definitely tell you that they've made some pretty sweet upgrades when compared to the one that I did in 2024 or the one that I checked out in 2024. You definitely have a lot of options to customize this sight for exactly how you want to set it up. So with that said, let's dive in and talk about the specifications. Now, this sight is constructed of 6061 aluminum. You can see that this is a very stubby bow sight, so it's going to allow you to run this as close to the riser as possible, really allowing you to shoot longer distances. Now, the scope housing is pretty big. Like, if I compare this to some of the other sights that I've tested out throughout the year, the Dial Proof, the UV Slider 2, the HHA Nitrix, the new driver sight through True Ball, definitely a super big scope housing, so that is going to limit you if you start shooting longer distances. But the good thing is they do offer a variety of scope housings that you can choose from. They're going to offer this in a single pin. They'll offer it in a double pin. I believe they also have a triple pin vertical and then a 5-pin horizontal bow sight. And the good thing is that all of those scope housings are compatible. So if you pick this up in a single pin and then at a later date decide you want a multiple pin for hunting, you'll be able to buy that as an accessory and just go ahead and change this out. There's 2 mounting bolts on the front of this slide rail that just allow you to remove this scope housing right from the sight. Now, as far as mounting brackets go, it's going to be available in a pick mount, which I have here. There's also a bridge lock compatible, and then there's also a side mount. So you'll have the ability to choose which one is obviously best suited for your setup. And the nice thing about this sight is that the mounting brackets are interchangeable. So if you buy it in a pick mount and then at a later date you want to pick up a Matthews, you'll just be able to buy the actual mounting bracket. You don't have to go and buy a brand new sight. Now, as far as your adjustments on your sight to get it dialed in, you do have a very nice micro adjust windage. There's a lever right on the front, and then these clicks, very defined. You can feel them, very sharp, allowing you to move your scope housing left or right. Once that's set in, you go ahead, just lock that back down. Obviously, that is toolless. Now, to adjust your elevation, that is not a toolless adjustment, so you will need to carry around an Allen wrench. They definitely redesigned this rail that is allowing you to move your scope housing up and down to ensure that you're getting the most amount of clearance. We'll kind of go over that a little bit later in the video. And then also, you do have an independent first, second, and third access. And one thing that I really like about B3, and they're very unique about this, there's not a lot of bow sights that offer this, but you can see that there's basically laser engravings all around this sight, or hash marks all around this sight. So once you do get it dialed in, you can take pictures of where these settings are, or these hash marks. So if you're out in the field, you drop your bow, you bump your bow, you can just quickly verify to see if your sight was moved at all, and if it is, you can go ahead and line it back out. Like I said, quick adjustments out in the field. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention about the scope housing is this scope does not accept a lens. So if you want to run a lens for 3D or indoor, you do have to purchase their vented scope housing, again, which is compatible with this. So they're definitely giving you a lot of flexibility to customize this bow sight. And then lastly, the one thing that I want to talk about, and this kind of ties into like what is new for this year, is you can see that they have this rotational cover on the very front of your bow sight. Now, one thing that B3 does really well is they provide you with a ton of accessories straight out of the box. This one now comes with a USB-C rechargeable light. So again, huge plus because you don't have to go and buy that separately. A lot of manufacturers charge you anywhere from 50 to 60 bucks. I've even seen them recently up towards $100 for a light kit. But this one, like I said, is USB-C rechargeable. But what's unique about this bow sight is it does does give you the ability to rotate this light compartment. As you start to rotate this, you'll see that you have different openings or different size openings, allowing more light to naturally hit those fibers without having to utilize it. So if you're in a super bright environment, you can kind of close it off, so sun coming in at the top is not going to be able to brighten those pins as much. If you want to go kind of like halfway, there's a position for that, and then just wide open. And then if you want to use the actual light, like I said, you could run it at the top, or you could run it off to the side or the bottom, either side of the scope housing. So giving you a little bit of flexibility, definitely a unique little feature. I'm not sure how long that'll last, right? If that's going to break on you. The good thing is that they do provide a lifetime warranty on this bow sight. It is manufactured here in the US, so USA made. Definitely sweet to see, but like I said, just a unique little feature that I wanted to point out. Now, another thing that I want to point out is that you are getting two different sight tapes. So you're going to get a vertical sight tape, and then you're going to also get a paper sight tape for your roller wheel. If you start looking at some of their promotional videos, they talk about a laser engraved sight tape for the roller wheel. That does not come standard with the sight. If you want that, you do have to buy that as an accessory. And then one other thing that I want to point out is most of the sights that you are going to buy, I was surprised that this one came with 2 pin indicators, but most of them are only going to come with a single pin. If you want more than 1 pin indicator, you do have to custom order that through your local bow shop or call B3 direct, and they will make sure that they set you up with this. Max that you're going to be able to get is 2 pin indicators. So if you get a 3 pin vertical, or if you get a 5 pin horizontal, you will not be able to float all those pins throughout your sight tape. So you'll have to determine which ones that you want yardage markers for. Now, next, let's go ahead and talk about what is new with the B3 Exact Linx bow sight this year. And we kind of already talked about one feature, and it is this rotational light kit. Now, keep in mind, if you do buy their Pro Series, you will get a different style of light. It is a programmable light kit. I'm going to be honest with you, that is probably not something that I would buy. I saw their promotional video online. That light kit looks super bulky. I don't know exactly what that thing weighs, but that's probably not something that I would want hanging off the front of my bow sight, because obviously it's going to add a lot of weight to it, or appears to add a lot of weight to it. But I think you'd just be fine with their standard light kit. But that's going to be the difference between their standard and their Pro Series. Now, another big change that they made is their gear system internally. So they definitely, and if you scroll this sight housing all the way down, you can kind of see it, but they upgraded this to a brass roller gear, which gives it a very nice feel, very smooth from top to bottom, and a very small amount of rotation actually equates to a pretty decent amount of distance traveled on your sight tape. So that's nice, because it's going to allow you to shoot longer distance. Now, another thing, and we kind of already touched on it, is the sight tapes. This year, they did roll out laser engraved sight tapes for the actual roller wheel. Straight out of the box, it will come with laser engraved vertical sight tapes, but it comes with paper sight tapes for the roller wheel. Again, if you want those laser engraved for the roller wheel, you do have to call them. You have to supply them with your sight tape number. So make sure that you've obviously done your due diligence to make sure that your sight is sighted in properly. And then you can pick those up for 40 bucks. They'll mail it out to you, and you can go ahead and change out the paper one for a laser engraved metal sight tape for that roller wheel. And then also we're going to talk about the elevation adjustment design change that they made on this rail here. So you can see that they did add some mounting holes, making it very easy for you to adjust the elevation of the scope housing up or down. There's just basically a set screw located on the right side of the sight. If you're a right-handed shooter, you're going to unloosen that, and then it's going to allow you to move that scope housing up or down to get that sighted in, so you can find your 20-yard mark. That definitely makes it a lot easier. Definitely, if you roll this to your scope housing to the top range of that slide rail, then you'll be able to adjust that down and get that in a position. That's going to ensure that you have a dead stop on this sight, and it's also going to ensure that you're getting the most amount of clearance as possible. And then you can also see that once you do roll it up, you have some adjustment on these pin indicators, so you'll be able to slide those down. You'll also be able to micro micro tune your vertical sight tape, so you'll be able to loosen that, slide that into position, and make sure that everything is lining up perfectly before you start slapping on sight tapes and go through your sight-in process. Now, another thing that they updated, and this was something that I noticed as soon as I took this out of the box, and this was one feature on the previous model that a lot of people had pointed out that I didn't even really catch, but the lock for your elevation is located on the inside of your sight. It's definitely not the most convenient location, but it's definitely something that you would get used to. But if I could pair this over to the sight that they had in 2024, that elevation lock knob definitely blocked your ability to clearly see that vertical sight tape. So they've kind of brought that in a little bit more, making it so it doesn't obstruct that sight tape anymore. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is color options. So B3 does give you the ability to custom order these in a Cerakote. The cost to get a Cerakoted sight is only $40, so that is definitely pretty affordable. Keep in mind, depending on the time of year that you custom order that, like if you're going to order it in hunting season, definitely expect a little bit longer of a lead time. But if you're placing an order now, you'd probably only expect to add a couple days to get that sight, in addition to what you would expect just if you ordered this as an anodized black. So definitely not a super long lead time. 40 bucks, like I said, is super cheap, and they're going to offer this in granite gray, ambush green, and then earth brown. But other than that, definitely a sweet option. It's coming in at roughly about 400 bucks, which for a sight that offers you the micro adjust, the independent first, second, and third axis, gives you the ability to customize the scope housings, gives you the ability to change out the mounting configurations on the bracket, and then also gives you the ability to swap out scope housings. Definitely a pretty affordable price, especially if I start looking at some of the other sight manufacturers that are available. Also, a USA made sight, backed with a lifetime warranty. So like I said, for the price, can't really beat it. But if you guys have any other questions, make sure that you leave me a comment below, reach out to me directly on Instagram. I'm always happy to help. If you guys want to check this out, like I said, they are available up at Sunrise Archery, located out in Fenton, Michigan. You guys can go up there. They'll let you check the site out, see if it's going to be the right fit for you. If you guys have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Your guys' support greatly helps us out, keeps us doing what we're doing. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you guys on the next one.